Hockey Canada's player development pyramid has been designed as a guideline to help every amateur coach in Canada develop their seasonal plans, no matter what age or skill level they're coaching. Within this pyramid, there are two different flows of progression that form these guidelines. The first progression is based on the different skills that players need to learn, working from technical skills at the base of the pyramid to individual tactics, then team tactics, team play systems, and finally strategy at the peak. The second progression, based on the age and skill level of the team, flows diagonally from the initiation program at the bottom to novice, then atom, pee-wee, bantam, and finally midget. Now, let's go back and take a closer look at each of the levels in the first progression. At the bottom of the pyramid is the technical skills level. These are the fundamental skills that form the foundation of every player's development in the game of hockey. Encompassed within this level are the skills of skating, puck control, shooting and scoring, and checking. After demonstrating the ability to execute the technical skills, players can then progress to the next level, individual tactics, where they begin to develop their read and react skills, otherwise known as hockey sense. As we move up the pyramid, we see that players begin performing drills to develop their understanding of team tactics and team play systems. In both levels, players learn how to apply their individual skills and hockey sense to a team game. At the peak of the pyramid is strategy, where teams learn styles of play to combat the opposition. Coaches determine these strategies based on their own philosophy, the age of the players, and the skill level of the team. As players become older and the competitive level increases, more complex game strategies can be taught. With a better understanding of how the first progression works, let's now integrate it with the second progression. Together, they show the amount of time throughout the year that coaches should devote to various skills during practices, based on the age and skill level of the players. At the base of the second progression is the initiation program. Because players at this level are very young and just learning the game, Hockey Canada recommends that most of the season's practices be devoted to the fundamental skills. As shown here by the pie chart, 85% of the year should be spent on developing the team's technical skills, with the other 15% allocated to individual tactics. When players reach the novice level, coaches can add drills to introduce team tactics. Note that technical skills now reduces to 75% of the year's practices. Individual tactics stays at 15%. And the remaining 10% is now allocated to team tactics. At the atom level, Hockey Canada recommends reducing the amount of time that players practice technical skills to 50%, while increasing individual tactics to 20% and increasing team tactics to 15%. Players should also begin to learn team play systems. 10% of their practice time should be allocated to these skills, with the remaining 5% used to introduce the concepts of strategy. For the levels of pee-wee, bantam, and midget, practices should focus on reinforcing the technical skills with a more balanced approach, while also teaching a variety of individual and team skills. For the pee-wee program, 45% of practice time throughout the year should be devoted to technical skills, 25% to individual tactics, 10% to team tactics, 10% to team play, and 10% to strategy. The recommendation for bantam is to spend 40% on technical skills, 15% on individual tactics, 20% on team tactics, 15% on team play, and 10% on strategy. And finally, at the midget level, Hockey Canada recommends 35% be devoted to technical skills, 15% to individual tactics, 20% to team tactics, 15% to team play, and 15% to strategy. It's important to note here that all players will develop at different rates. Coaches will have to assess players individually to ensure that each receives the attention and direction needed to sufficiently develop their skills before advancing to the next level.